Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. This channel is run by two sisters. I'm your host, Starry, aka Star, and I chose self-taught artist. And for today's video, I'm going to be attempting, heavy emphasis on attempting, grayscale. Now, whether or not it worked out will be determined by the end of this video, but I really hope you guys stick around and enjoy it regardless. So, we're going to start off with the sketching process. I don't have too much to say because, the main bulk of this video is the coloring. But what I will say, I really do like the sketching process. For quick sketches and things that, like portraits or maybe half up, like things that are like facing the camera, I like just knocking a lot of stuff down with using the symmetry tool. I don't know. It's kind of like a work smarter, not harder mentality for me. Also because this was also just a quick sketch, and I don't think it needed to be too stressful. And so a lot of the things that I like knocked out, like a lot of my sketching process is using the symmetry tool. And whether you like that or not, that is up to you. And I don't use it a lot or much, but whenever I'm doing something like just full on face front, it's just a lot easier to do that. And so some of my recent pieces, I've been doing that with it, and it just helped a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna let the sketching play out a little bit, and I'll jump back in once the coloring starts. So jumping into the coloring, I changed the background of the piece because I think that the values of the grays are going to stand out a lot more compared to a white background. Whether or not that's actually true, I don't know. But it just looked a lot better. And it just made coloring a lot easier. And a lot of artists typically change the canvas background maybe for like eye strain or eyesore or based off preference. And I'm not the type of artist who does that. I do just like working on a white background. But I do understand like why people do that and why artists do that. And I feel like for this particular reason, it was a lot better than just working on a white background for me. I have my swatches on the side, but for some of the things that I was like coloring, I just went back to my color wheel and adjusted it from there. And I think that's probably what kind of led to my slight downfall with doing this grayscale. So yeah, the flats was a pretty easy process due to the fact that the piece was bigger. I feel like flats are so tedious when it's done on a small scale, like a full body, because everything is, smaller, at least depending on the canvas size that you're using. But whenever I'm doing a portrait or half up, the subject is a lot bigger, it's a lot closer, and it makes actually flatting just faster, and I actually have a lot more fun doing it. So I had a lot more fun flatting the base colors for this piece here. And I think for the fact that I wasn't going to like over render this piece also gave me some slight peace of mind to just enjoy the process as I go. So moving on to the rendering process. If you guys know, if you've been on the channel for a while or seen any of our recent videos, but I did an Ibis Paint coloring video, like using Ibis Paint for the first time after like 3 years or something. And in that video, I think I attempted airbrushing and then, harsh shading on top of that. And I kept telling myself to go back to it. I think maybe like 1 or 2 pieces, I might have attempted airbrushing in certain areas of my art. But I never really like did it again, like fully to the way I did it in the Ibis Paint video. So I wanted to attempt it here. So I started off just laying down some base, color or whatever. And then I went with the airbrushing over like the face features because I think that's where it looks great. And then on top of that, I rendered like harshly on top of the airbrushing, so I can define certain areas of the art typically to how I would always render. And I think over the summer I started rendering parts of the face or adding stuff to my rendering that I've never done in the past or like haven't consistently done in the past, which like adding highlights to the corner, the inner corner of the eye, or adding highlights like right underneath. Also I've been doing, when I do color pieces, adding like pink to the eyes as well, but you're not going to see this here because it is grayscale. But though I could have added the corner, I could have added a corner color instead of just leaving it blank, but it's fine. So I think the rendering of the face worked really well. I do wish I did it a lot harsher, because when I after the piece ended, I realized that a lot of the values are so similar, if that makes any sense. There's not much distinction between the values. And even at the end of the video, at the last minute of the video, you're going to see me attempt to gradient map it. When I gradient mapping it, I noticed that there wasn't a lot of distinction between values, because the colors that were like, I used for the gradient map were all the same. The values weren't different. And I don't know, when it's gray, I can tell a difference in value, but it probably wasn't harsh enough, a difference in value, because when coloring it, it just, there wasn't a good distinction. But yeah, so I do wish part of my rendering was a little bit harsher. I think I over-rendered the face compared to everything else, but it's probably just because the face is my favorite part to render. And plus, I really liked how the sketch looked out. So I just wanted to render that how I would normally render anything. And yeah, so yeah, that's that. Nothing too, I don't know, like complicated in a way. But like I said, yeah, they should have been a lot harsher, especially with the airbrushing. Maybe I should have went a lot darker than I probably would normally have went when doing a colored piece. Because with the airbrushing, it's very subtle and soft, and the airbrushing didn't translate super well with the gradient map. Like, it's so noticeable, but maybe it just looks a little weird. I don't remember how it looked at the end, so I'll give you my actual thoughts when I come across it while doing this voiceover. But yeah, I also been like practicing a lot of like different aspects of my art, like segueing a little bit out of the grayscale for a moment. But if you see any of my recent videos on this channel, like the Usopp One Piece fan art that I did, how I rendered his hair, his clothes. If you see that August illustration of that black girl laying down like on a bunch of leaves with like the blue purple hair, how I rendered her hair in that video, like painted it. I mean, what is it? One of our most recent videos I did on this channel was me recreating Cho Ji-suk's, sorry for mispronunciation, but he's a photographer who has like this coexistence exhibition series at a museum or something like that. And his pieces usually had a human subject with coexisting with something like butterfly. The one I chose, I think, was titled Nostalgia Number 2. So it had aquatic animals surrounding like this person, the subject. And I recreated that piece digitally. And so how I rendered the clothing in that one, I really, really liked. Or the most recent video that I did before this one, which was the Subway Girl illustration, how I rendered just everything in that, like the background, like how I rendered the subway seats themselves and everything. I just feel like I've been getting a lot better with my art, that I want to attempt more, I guess, artistic challenges and practices most artists have already been doing for years, like grayscale, understanding color theory, so doing challenges with different color schemes, so I can just elevate my art a lot more. So yeah, we're coming to the end of the video. You can just see everything here. You can see that I probably over-rendered the face compared to the hair and clothing. I didn't really want to render the clothing because it wasn't really much, and I just didn't care too much about it. And I don't know how to render hair, so we're going to practice that. But yeah, I duplicated my layer and I merged all the, I duplicated my canvas, merged all my layers together so I can attempt this gradient mapping thing. And you can see when I'm shifting the colors that there's not much change when you're adding color to it. Like the values, they're not distinct enough to really pick up on. And maybe I could have got that distinction if I gradient mapped the different layers themselves. Like gradient map just the hair on its own layer, the face on its own layer, the clothes or the body on its own layer. Maybe that would have been a lot better than merging everything. But even if I was merging everything, it's not too much of a distinction. So I did click on the gradient map itself and try to adjust it with the slider. And try to get that distinction that I was attempting for, and whether it worked or not, it's up to the viewer. But yeah, this is how the final piece came out, grayscale, and then with the gradient map. I like the grayscale a lot better, but I still like the piece overall. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot. Jen and I will see you in the next video. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Gumroad with my brushes are linked down below. Our Ko-Fi and commissions are open. Thank you guys so much for any support. Like, comment, subscribe if you like to. Like I said, Jen and I will see you in the next video. Have an amazing day. Peace.